How often should you condition all the leather stuff for Highland wear, like the straps on a kilt, sporrans, sporran straps, etc.?
Sure. I have props. Okay.
Oh my god.
Again with
Another
props.
show and tell.
Yeah.
Glad I
show and tell.
knew.
Show and
This is
tell. I
great.
like show and tell better than props. Okay. So, I have a box of goodies. We've talked about it on the show before, so I'm kind of giving you my kit. None of this is product placement. I don't sell any of this. I don't make any money off any of this. Just giving you some thoughts and ideas. So, when it comes to Sporran, when it comes to the leather straps on the kilt, when it comes to the leather Sporran strap there, the belt, whatever you got. So if you get a little bit of schmutz on it, a couple things you can do. There's I don't have my glasses on, so I don't, whatever the hell this is, this stuff. Suede and Nubuck cleaner. So it's basically a spray to clean stuff. So use this to get any schmutz, any residue off of the leather itself. So start there. The next thing,
it's just for suede and nubuck, but you're saying use it on any leather?
I would, but I'd risk it. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So I have other stuff in here, but wait, there's more.
Okay.
So for conditioning leather, we have Lexol all leather conditioner, step 2. There's a step 1 somewhere. Who knows? I didn't buy that. I only bought step 2. So that's this one. It smells like plastic. It's weird, but that's fine. The one that I use more often than anything else is probably the leather honey. So this is good stuff. You can see, I've used a third of the bottle already. You don't have to use a lot of it. It's a good conditioner. It's leaking out of the bottle onto my fingers. This is what I typically use. The spot that it works well on is on the top of the sporran, where your buckle might scratch the top of the sporran, where the leather flap goes down, or where it's actually like folding and creasing the most. Right. That's where I typically have to use it.
Right.
So there's leather honey. The other stuff you should have is here you go, nice,
Nice
disheveled
clean
rag.
polishing cloth.
So this is a microfiber cloth rag, which is pretty good for this stuff. The last thing that I will show you that I've bought, I think I got this on Amazon. It's Cobbler's Choice. There you go. That's good stuff. And they make kits with this stuff. So this one has leather cleaner. We've used this on sporrans when we have like laser etching stuff and we have to clean off that. We have a leather conditioner. It comes in the kit here. And then this one is waterproof spray. I guess it's for shoes or whatever. And this particular kit comes with a shoe brush. It also helps for, getting schmutz off of things. So that's a nice little kit if you want to buy one thing all in one shot. Tips for cleaning and how often do you clean? So, first, if you are using leather honey, especially on brown leathers, brown sporran, brown belt, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would say start with it on the back side of the sporran.
Yeah, do a test patch.
Or underneath the flap up here at the very, very top, like around the snap, where it's not going to be seen. If you have brown leather, a lot of times using this kind of stuff, leather conditioners, might darken it a little bit. And if you decide that you don't want to do it, once you put it on one spot, you're committed. So start with a spot that is non-visible, forward facing. Second thing is, make sure when you rub it on, you're applying it evenly, and you rub everywhere, you get into all the crevices, and then wait for a little bit. So it kind of like levels out. Even if you do it on the back of the sporran, you're like, oh my God, it darkened everything. Oh, what's going on? Wait 20 minutes, a half hour, and see how it affects the area. Then decide to do the rest of the area. If it darkens your brown sporran and you've done it in a spot on the back and you don't like how it looks, stop. Don't use that product anymore.
Right.
But wait about a half hour because it kind of like soaks into the leather. It absorbs into it, and then it levels out a bit. So on a test spot on the back of something. B, I would say the spots that are most affected, again, top of the sporran where it actually hinges, where you're going up and down. That is the spot that's most affected. But on a leather strap, either leather strap that holds your sporran on, or leather strap on the kilt, be a little bit careful because putting too much of a leather conditioner, or like if you're used to like baseball gloves, needs foot oil. It will allow the leather to stretch a little bit.
Right.
So you want to make sure that, if it's your belt or your leather sporran strap or the straps that are on your kilt, you don't want them to stretch too much, so you don't want to soak it too much in it. You're just basically getting enough on to give it a good shine, give it a little bit of care, a little bit of condition, let it soak in, but not so much that it saturates the leather and ends up making it pliable. That would be bad. Third thought is when you are done, especially if you have leather honey, this stuff is like thick and viscous and it sits on there. When you are done, wipe off any excess. Anything that is facing your garment. So if you put it on the back of your sporran, which you probably should, make sure it is dry and then wipe it off the back of your sporran. You do not want to transfer to the leather. You don't want to have any kind of discoloration on the kilt. You don't want it to transfer to the wool, excuse me. You don't want it to transfer to the wool or have any discoloration on the wool itself.
Right.
So those are my thoughts.
Hold on there. Before we go any further, please take a second to give us, you like how I did that?
I did.
Give us a like and a subscribe and a thumbs up. That's all of them, right?
That's it.
Yeah. We appreciate your input, and it does help us fight the algorithm so we can make more of these videos. Thanks.
Any further thoughts on it as far as cleaner or what you would use it, how often you would use it?
Do you have
things like
any thoughts on saddle soap?
I've never used saddle soap, so no, I do not. What are your thoughts on saddle soap?
My thoughts are that the modern products are far better. I would not recommend using saddle soap.
Okay.
It's meant for hard leathers, like saddles. Yeah,
Oddly
exactly. Gun leather, things like that, which are much
Holsters.
thicker.
Yeah.
So I would not recommend that. I really think the leather honey is a great product. I've used that more than anything else, honestly. And a lot of time, you talk about schmutz at the beginning. I'll just spot clean with a little bit of soap and water, or even just water and like a soft brush, like a soft toothbrush. Like if you have more of a grain to the leather, or you got the pock marks in the leather, and like let's say you spilled your milkshake on it, that a little bit of a brush. That brush seems really large, but good.
It's a shoe.
Yeah,
brush.
It's a shoe brush.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like sometimes a soft bristled toothbrush can be good if you like got something spilled like in the seams, for instance. Like if I got something in here, in with the broguing on this sporran, I'd use a little bit of a brush like that.
I agree. Yeah,
that's
toothbrush
about
is a
it.
great tool.
Yeah, little tools like that can be very helpful, very handy.
Yeah, or even like a dentist tool kit with some of the like little micro scraper things.
Dad used to keep dentist tools for cleaning guns, actually.
I mean, would you
Absolutely.
worry about damaging any of the surface leather with something like
You'd
a
be
dental
you'd be
tool?
gentle with it. You wouldn't go
Yeah.
like Freddy
That's what
Krueger.
I'm saying,
The
a
damn thing.
soft bristle.
Furthermore, if you did something like that where like you damaged the surface leather a little bit, would something like shoe polish be a viable option for like a black sporran? Or does that pose
On the
problems to your
front-
kilt?
On the
Only
front,
on the front.
maybe. Anything that faces the kilt. David Barr. I love David
Oh
Barr.
boy.
Come on.
All right. Here's I'm gonna little peek behind the curtain. Here's a screw up.
Uh-oh.
Not really a screw up,
Whoa.
but it's a thing. So most modern sporrans, a lot of the sporran companies that are out there now, use laser etching as opposed to stamping.
Right.
Because you can have a billion different designs. You don't have to invest a lot of money in brass stamps and all this stuff. So a lot of the sporrans on the back, like our logo, is actually laser etched on the back. Now, the sporran maker should essentially, when they do a laser etching, you're burning leather. You're burning the cow's skin with lasers. The cow's dead, so it doesn't hurt.
Oh.
But there's a little bit of schmutz, and they have to actually wipe it off, and they have specific a bucket and rags and stuff to wipe off the leather and the design and the residue that's left from laser etching stuff. That's anything you laser etch, not just leather. There was a particular sporran we got and sold it to our good buddy David Barr, and friend of the show, and he wore a Hannay tartan kilt, which has a lot of white in it. And he wore his brand new sporran on the back. And the sporran didn't happen to have been cleaned well on the back of the sporran. So, he said, there's a little bit of residue on my white tartan. We ended up, dry cleaned it. Everything was fine. But leather cleaner is great for that kind of thing. So anything like that, yes. That's also the warning of, for shoe polish, as Allie mentioned, don't shoe polish on the back side or anything that's going to touch the kilt.
Right.
Maybe, I don't think I would do it, but if you've dry cleaned your kilt a dozen times and the leather straps on the side look a little worse for wear, and you want to do a shoe polish on it, I'd probably warn against it. But if you do use shoe polish on the leather strap, A, it's facing away from the kilt. Just do the top, not the backside. And B, I would polish the crap out of it, and then make sure you're rubbing it with a white cloth or even with like a paper towel. After you're all done, you think it's perfect, you think it's fine, you think you've got all the residue off there. I'd still rub it with a paper towel.
White glove test.
Yeah, white glove test it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And make sure that there's no residue left, because like that kind of stuff, like shoe polish, will essentially dye it, or will stain other things. So you want to be very, very, very careful about shoe polish. That's my word of warning there.
Yep.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
Yes. Any other comments from the people about any of this stuff, or have we belabored this point enough?
Well, you definitely had some endorsements from Leather Honey.
Yeah.
I mean, not from Leather Honey. It'd be nice, right? But
Yeah.
no, just people who have also used it and, said the product is a good one.
If you work for Leather Honey, I don't need more product. Just give me money. It's fine. This is a product
can see the
placement with
bottle.
money. Yes.
Special treat today on Kilts and Culture, leather honey.
Yeah.
It conditions your leather, and it's an aphrodisiac. No.
and the floor wax.
To the right person, I'm sure.
Yeah. How's it smell? Oh,
That's a good question.
it doesn't really have it here.
That's a great.
Would you call this more of like, that's
little
more
bit
of
of-
like a mink
little
oil,
bit
like
mineral oil
oily
smell.
kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
It's a little sweet.
more like a leather milk
It's got
or
a honey
conditioner.
consistency, not a smell. Now, see, this one, it smells plasticky. Smell it.
Is that smoother than the leather
Yeah.
honey?
That
Like
reminds
liquid-
me.
No.
That
more
smells like
liquidy?
saddle soap a little bit to me.
Yeah, it's all leather conditioner, little Lexol. This
Yeah.
reminds me more of a consistency of like hair conditioner. Leather honey has a honey-ish, like a thicker viscosity to it. I like this one better.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
There it
Sorry, Lexol.
I'm flashing back to volunteering when I was a teenager at the Frontier Museum in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I had to clean a bunch of saddles.
It's very, very specific.
That is so specific.
It's a smell, and I just
Okay.
when I talk about
Bad.
saddle soap, I know what I'm talking about because it was hell.
Brought you back to the big skies and the horse
No,
saddles.
it brought me back to this outbuilding barn and me with like a half a dozen saddles, and they're like, "Here, intern, clean these." I'm like, is this? Ugh.
No. I don't care that much.
Can't say I had that experience.
No.
Take care of the artifacts.
Here's to us.
Absolutely.
Anyway,